Fidelity of implementation is the extent an evidence-based practice or EBP is delivered as intended for positive student outcomes. When educators implement EBPs with fidelity, it can positively affect students' learning and behavior. However, schools are not implementing their EBPs as intended, therefore lacking fidelity of implementation. Positive behavioral interventions and supports, or PBIS, is a school-wide approach that focuses on creating a positive community and of behavioral practices needed to help impact all students. It consists of a multi-tiered support system framework, or MTSS, which focuses on providing students with prevention strategies that best fit their behavioral needs. This framework consists of three tiers. Tier 1, a universal system of inclusive behavioral practices school-wide. Tier 2, a system of practices for those who are unresponsive to Tier 1 and need additional support. And Tier 3, a system of more individualized intensive interventions for 1 to 5% of students who have severe problem behaviors. Tier 1 is the primary support system of PBIS and involves all staff and students, emphasizing pro-social skills and expectations throughout the building. Tier 1 practices include educators providing universal screenings to students, consistently expressing, teaching, and reinforcing school-wide expectations, using data to monitor progress and outcomes, and providing differentiated instruction. Students in Tier 2 receive supports if they are not responsive to Tier 1. Students participate in additional behavior supports in small groups with school professionals focusing on school-wide expectations, communication skills, social-emotional learning, and receive feedback on their behavioral engagement from their teachers daily and/or weekly, and discuss their short and long-term goals. In Tier 3, more intensive and individualized support is provided to meet the needs of the student and to address the function of their behavior. These interventions are based on formal assessments, which then lead to developing individualized behavior intervention plans, or BIPs, based on the function of the behavior, which is the source that is maintaining the occurrence and reoccurrence of the problem behavior. PBIS has been proven to positively impact students' development, but many schools do not implement PBIS as intended, causing the approach to be less effective. Some causes of lack of implementation of fidelity are social validity and teacher buy-in and lack of professional development, or PD, and coaching. Without these, PBIS will not be implemented effectively. Social validity is the acceptance and satisfaction of an intervention. PBIS requires the buy-in of at least 80% of staff and the participation of all staff in program implementation. So, if the teachers do not agree with the behavior intervention, they could alter the way that the behavior intervention is implemented, which affects the fidelity of the intervention. When implementing PBIS, it is crucial to participate in PD trainings delivered by the program sponsors, district instructional coaches, or in-school representatives. Without regular PD, educators are not gaining the instructional skills needed to use PBIS effectively and can even lead to teachers' anxiety to rise, causing their reluctance to utilize the program. Research indicates that PBIS improves student outcomes such as reduced office detention, referrals, and suspensions. When schools effectively and consistently reinforce school-wide PBIS, students' educational experience is also improved. However, when students do not respond to the universal support, additional behavior support is implemented. One Tier 2 intervention practice is check-in, check-out. It focuses on positive adult attention and reinforcement, builds on school-wide PBIS expectations using a behavior plan, and includes strong home communication and is facilitated by a trained educator in the building. After several weeks, the team determines the students' outcomes of the student's intervention with data. One specific approach to Tier 3 is by using function-based assessments, or FBA, interventions. When using FBA, the main goal is to identify the behavior and the antecedents for the behavior, condition realistic approaches to prevent the current behavior, and provide alternative skills and behaviors instead. Another effective function-based approach in Tier 3 is known as Prevent, Teach, Reinforce, or PTR. PTR consists of manipulating behavior antecedents for prevent, teach replacement behaviors for teach, and providing consequence arrangements, or reinforce, while addressing problem behaviors and assisting the development of replacement behaviors. Now, to determine the effectiveness of the EBPs, educators use different tools to measure fidelity of implementation, such as school-wide evaluation tools, or SETs, benchmark of quality, or BOQs, and tiered fidelity inventory, TFI. SET uses interviews, school materials, and documentation, and observing the building to measure fidelity. Another way that teachers can monitor fidelity in Tier 1 is by using the benchmark of quality, or BOQ. BOQ is a self-report instrument that measures the fidelity of implementation at the Tier 1 level of school-wide PBIS in individuals and is organized based on 10 subscales that reflect on the components of PBIS. TFI is another way to monitor fidelity of implementation. The TFI is a coach-guided self-assessment tool that measures PBIS implementation fidelity across the 3 tiers in order to assess the overall implementation score, which is intended to be completed by the school PBIS team with facilitation from an external coach. Sufficient training is needed for all educators to understand each tier in PBIS, create appropriate behavior plans for everyone, and apply it successfully in their classrooms. High-quality PD and multi-tiered coaching with ongoing modeling, practice, observations, feedback, and coaching will increase the teacher's content knowledge and confidence and will improve their use and applications of EBPs. Effective trainings on PBIS intervention practices could be implemented through PD or coaching. The coaching process will include in-service training and workshops, supervisory coaching, and side-by-side coaching. These levels benefit and help teachers with learning and applying interventions hands-on in the classroom. Many schools face lack of fidelity implementation, which is due to this educator's social validity and teacher buy-in and not receiving adequate PD on their intervention tiers and application. However, educators can avoid these challenges by using tiered approaches to discuss goals, provide instruction and feedback, collect data on student progress, and determine the student outcomes in their placements. Also, with PD and multi-level coaching, schools can continue to see student growth in academics and behavior development. These few suggestions will bring schools closer together in their goals that they've made for each student. PBIS's multi-tiered approach has provided thousands of students with individualized and equitable supports that will forever have a positive impact on their ways of life.